This podcast is being brought to you by our good friends at Have You Seen That Show? Hey everybody, welcome once again to Tribute Land, the podcast with Scott Keogh. We got a great one for you today. Hey listen, to keep this thing rolling live on the air, if you can swing 99 cents, that is all we ask. If you can hop over to iTunes or Amazon.com and just buy one or more Scott Keogh songs, that keeps this podcast rolling so we can hit each and every tribute artist out there. So if you're a tribute artist, you want to contact me, just give me an email. That's sk@scottkeogh.com. Any feedback, same thing, sk@scottkeogh.com.
Hey girl, is he everything you wanted in a man? You know I gave you the world. You had me in the palm of your hand. So why your love went away, I just can't seem to understand. Thought it was me and you, babe. Me and you until the end. I guess I was wrong. Don't wanna think about it, don't wanna talk about it. I'm just so sick of it. Can't believe it's ending this way. Feeling the blues about it. I just can't do without you. Is this the way it's really going down? Is this how we say goodbye? Should've known better when you came around, that you were gonna make me cry. It's breaking my heart to watch you run around, cause I know that you're living a lie. And that's okay, baby, cause in time you will find what goes around, goes around, goes around, comes all the way back around. What goes around, goes around, goes around, comes all the way.
All right, here we go. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome into our Tribute Land podcast today an extraordinarily talented gentleman that puts on quite a performance all over the world. His name is Scott Jordan. He does Justin Timberlake and others, if you can believe that or not. We're going to dive into that as well. But Scott Jordan joins us today in Tribute Land on the podcast from a car. Probably somewhere in Florida, I'm not sure, but we're going to find out right now. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thanks for joining us in Tribute Land.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Got it. I got to plug this real quick. Today's episode is brought to you by Shake and Bake Chicken. That's right, Shake and Bake, still around. Now they're doing healthy stuff, seasons, herbs, grilled, barbecued chicken. Shake and Bake, helping pay for this podcast. Thank you. All right, now that we got that out of the way, people probably fast-forwarded that thing. Scott, tell me a little bit about
Yes, sir.
the Justin Timberlake show that you put together with your band. What's going on there?
Yeah, man. I made the decision last year to move back to Orlando after a long time in Vegas and on the road. And I knew that putting together my own show after doing Legends for so long was at the top of my list. So I was very fortunate to be able to perform over the years with some very talented musicians in Orlando. And I approached some of them about the project, and they were willing and able to help and ready to play. So I went ahead and put together a 90-minute show of what I would want to see as a Justin Timberlake fan. And we tried that out here in Orlando for the first time on Valentine's Day of last year, and it went over really well. We sold out our first show, and then we decided to take it on the road and sort of hone our craft a little bit and figure out what worked and what didn't. And we came full circle again this past Valentine's Day, and we sold out again at a venue, and we've been getting great responses and sellout crowds, and I don't just do Timberlake stuff in there. He does a lot of other songs in his concerts, so I like to throw in some of those, like the Velvet Devos, Bruno Mars, Elvis Presley, things like that. So we played a show in Cincinnati on Halloween night. We played for Factor and the Luke Bryan stuff. We played for almost 4 hours straight.
Wow, 4 hours straight. That's quite a tall feat right there. How'd your vocals hand up?
Towards the end of that tour, man, I was ready to not show. But yeah, I find that doing that sort of schedule is very trying on my voice, but it's nothing that a little Fireball can't cure.
Yes, thank God for whiskey on the road. Helps the vocals.
Yeah, it does. It helps open up the chords. It's one thing they never teach you in college when you're studying is the effect that whiskey has on the vocal cords. So, but the show is great, man. We've got a 4-piece band. I've got backup dancers, and generally bring an opening act down on the road with us. And we added a Luke Bryan show to it as well, and we can talk about that at some point. But the JT thing was something I set out to do after taking a break from Legends, and I feel like it's going really well, and it's definitely a change. You know how it is doing Legends. You get 12 to 20 minutes to kind of go out and do your thing, and it's awesome, but there's still so much creatively that I feel like you have to offer. So doing a 90-minute show definitely helps with that, and allows me to be a showman and incorporate some of the things that he does live in concert to my show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 15 minutes is it's tough to get in a flow. It's tough to get a connection going with the audience. The whole show is more of a medley. You have a medley of Justin Timberlake. You have a medley of Katy Perry. You have a splash of Blues Brothers, and it's a great show because you get to see so many diverse acts all in one show, and that's the beautiful thing about Legends. But like you said, the tough thing for the artist is that you just get started and then you're done. That's it. You don't really get to open up and do your full show.
And with Legends, I wanted to be able to incorporate as many songs as I could in that time frame. So I do a lot of medleys, and I'm cutting songs a lot short. So for me, when I first started this JT show and we went into rehearsals, it was amazing to me how long it had been since I had sung any of the second verses of most of the songs that I do.
You're like, what are the words to that again? How's that go?
It's exactly what I was like. I was like, wait, can I just repeat the first verse twice? So it took some studying on my part just to refamiliarize myself with the source material, because I've been doing Legends for so long, and I'm very grateful for that experience. But like I said, just doing this, it just allows me to be very creative and I take requests, and we have a big variety of Justin Timberlake and sync songs that we do, so people can request what they want, and 9 times out of 10 we'll be able to play it.
Nice. Okay, so for everyone that's listening out there in Tribute Land, for those of you who do not know, if this is the first time you're hearing about Scott Jordan, he is hands down the undisputable, the #1 Justin Timberlake tribute out there. He's got the dance moves, he's got the groove. He, like he said just in his last sentence, he puts medleys together to where he's cramming in way more songs than I thought possible into a set, because Justin Timberlake has so many hits. It's hard to narrow that down into a 15 or 20 minute show. It's almost near impossible. So it's like, well, what do? I got to splash on this song, otherwise they're gonna like go, why didn't you sing that song? So, but that being said, not only is he the #1 Justin Timberlake tribute, he also branches out and does other artists as well, which I find that fascinating. I find that outside of my pay grade. That's something I can't do, so I'm very in awe of stuff like that. And so he does Luke Bryan, he does Ricky Nelson, and it's just to be able to do something different outside of your tribute. I don't even know what that looks like. So tell me about that. How did it come about with Luke Bryan's show, putting that together? Let's start with Luke Bryan.
Well, thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate that. With Luke Bryan, it was more or less time to adapt and time to change. And in music, there are hot periods and cold periods. And with Justin Timberlake, as great as he is, he put out 2 albums in 2013, and prior to that, he hadn't put out an album in 6 years. So the material was getting a little stale, and I wanted to adapt and kind of build another show for a different audience. So I had done some Luke Bryan songs in some various bands. I studied him, and I felt like it was somebody I could pull off, somebody I could resemble on stage. And, we tried it out. We tried it out a few months ago, about 6 months ago, actually, and we did an hour-long show. It got a great response, and then I just kind of went with it and really started doing my homework on the character to try to make it as authentic as possible. And with Luke Bryan, we can book shows for different audiences that may not be into Justin Timberlake. But I do think that the great thing about JT and Luke is that the fan base is almost the same. You're primarily going, women showing up at the shows, between 18 and 40, and so I can hit both of those characters in the same market. And in a lot of cases, we've been doing them in the same nights. We'll go there and do a 75-minute Luke Bryan show. We'll take a 30-minute break. We'll change, and we'll go back out and do a 90-minute Justin Timberlake show. And it's great because you're giving people two shows for the price of one, and it also doesn't hurt that you're getting paid for two shows as opposed to one as well. So that's great. And then when you factor in the Ricky Nelson character, I've got 3 viable shows for 3 different markets. So it's definitely helped increase bookings a lot.
That's very impressive. So, yeah, that's smart. I mean, you're out there hitting way more demographics than just one tribute, and I like that. And that to be able to pull it off is mind-boggling. So let's talk about Ricky Nelson tribute. That's got to be a little different from Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, man, that was my passion project, and I had been, putting it together for about a year, and I auditioned it. I put together an audition video when I was in Atlantic City doing Legends, and I couldn't really get them to back it. I couldn't get the interest from them, so I decided to kind of make it even more obvious that I wanted to do it. So I got with Chris Beatty from Myrtle Beach, who is a good friend of mine and has been a very big fan and advocate of my acts, and she did some market research in the Myrtle Beach area to see if anybody would want to see Ricky Nelson, and it came back positive. So she booked the character. I was told by Legends that in order for this to work, it needed to be the exact opposite of Justin Timberlake, and I needed to be basically unrecognizable. So that was my goal. I went out and got the best wig I could find. I went out and got a makeup artist to give me a tutorial on how to, do my makeup. And I went out to Myrtle Beach, and it went over really well. She got positive feedback. The guests seemed to like it, and it's great. That was my passion. Ricky Nelson was one of my musical inspirations. I was a big fan as a kid. My grandfather got me hooked on Ricky Nelson music. So to be able to go out and do that character for me kind of ties me into my grandfather a little bit, and I always get goosebumps when I do it because I just remember those moments.
Oh, that's very cool. I like that. I like the history behind that. Okay, so speaking of Legends, I mean, you do 3 acts, and Cody Alexander or Stacey Witten, I mean, they both do 3 acts also. So it's like, I think Stacey does even 4. I'm not even sure. But the 3 of you could just take over Legends completely and just send us all packing. Just do a you 3, could do an entire show yourself. It'd be the Scott Jordan, Stacey Witten, Cody Alexander show.
I think that you may be onto something there, man. But I don't know the Legends would ever buy that, but we'll see. I hope that somewhere in the near future they take a look at the Luke Bryan character. That would be great. But until then, we're gonna do our shows here and keep doing them as much as we can, and just kind of keep getting better. And it would be great if there would be a Legend show where I did all 3 characters in the same show. We'll see.
Cool. Well, now I hear you might be returning to Legends in November.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to return to Legends this past November in Long Island, but the birth of my daughter kind of impeded that, and that obviously took a much greater performance than getting back on stage, so I couldn't make it. So they contacted me about doing the same gig this coming November, which would be a good way to get back into the show, because at that point it will have been a full 2 years since I stepped on a Legend stage. So.
Well, a big year for you. You're a new father and a new husband. How's that for you?
It's the absolute best thing I could ever imagine. I didn't think there would be, a greater feeling when I laid eyes on a woman than the day that I met my wife. But the day I met my daughter was something I couldn't even possibly describe. So yeah, I've gone from being the road warrior to being a family man. I can't wait to get home and be with my girls. And obviously, going on the road in the future, I still do a lot of one-nighters, a lot of 2 or 3 day trips. But if I was going to go back on the road with Legends full-time, I'd want to make sure that they would come to. Otherwise, it's a no-go.
Very cool, man. Congratulations on all accounts.
Thank you.
Tell me about the tribute trilogy show concept.
Yeah, man, it's a new concept that I had worked on and kind of debuted at the Sunburst Convention. I don't know if you had ever heard of the Sunburst Convention. I know on the West Coast they do the Real Awards, and on the East Coast we do Sunburst, which is a great convention. Greg Thompson puts it on, and it gives, impersonators and tribute artists a chance to come in and do showcases and meet with agents and kind of network with each other. And I did it for the first time last year. I came home and performed just as Justin Timberlake and Ricky Nelson and won the Platinum Showcase Award. So I got invited back this year, and I wanted to do something that had never been done before to showcase the tribute trilogy. And I ended up doing Ricky Nelson, Justin Timberlake, and Luke Bryan, all three in the same 5-minute medley. So it was crazy, man. I had two dancers. I started out as Ricky Nelson because that involved, the wig and the makeup. I did about 1.5 minutes of a song. I ran off stage while the dancers came on. My wife was there to help me change into Justin Timberlake. I went back out, did another 1.5 minutes, went back, changed into Luke Bryan, and just did all three. And at that point, I was ready for an oxygen tank. But the whole concept is basically, taking my band and the dancers and coming into town and doing 3 different nights in the same town, doing a Friday night Luke Bryan concert, a Saturday night Justin Timberlake concert, and then a Sunday matinee as Ricky Nelson. So it gives, casinos and different venues a chance to book the same band and save on overhead costs and just get 3 different shows for 3 different markets.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, the Sunburst, that's in Orlando, right?
Yes, sir. That is in Orlando. Greg generally does it every September.
So for all those people out there who are looking to get some exposure for their character, the tribute that they do, they might want to contact Greg Thompson, and that's the what's the name of the showcase again?
It is the Sunburst Convention for Celebrity Tribute Artists.
Sunburst.
And you can find it on Facebook. If you just look up Sunburst on Facebook, you can find it. I invite everybody to come out. It's a great time. And, even if you're not getting work from agents, you're still meeting with other tribute artists. And we all, have looked out for each other. And I've gotten work through some of the people I've met and some of the agents as well. And every show that I've done, my opening act has been someone that I met from Sunburst.
Very cool. So is the South Florida Legends show, is that different from the regular Legends?
It is actually. It's a company down in South Florida, and they've been around for quite some time. They do various shows. They have quite a few Legends alumni on their roster, and I just recently hooked up with them. So I'm going to be making my debut with South Florida Legends in April 10th, I believe, at a place called Fishtails, where they do a show every Monday night. It's a great venue. So I'll be doing Luke and Justin there. And then I'm booked again at the Sunrise Civic Center through South Florida Legends as well. So different company, different show, great talent, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that.
Nice. So tell everybody out there about what is the Rock Brunch at Hard Rock Live in Orlando.
Well, it's a new thing that's coming up here in Orlando. Hard Rock has decided to get into the tribute artist game, and every Sunday they're going to be putting on a brunch at their venue, the Hard Rock Live, which is the biggest hard rock venue in the world. So they will have 6 acts on the roster, and every Sunday they will have 4 of those 6 acts performing a show. And it's almost a combination of Night at the Museum and tribute artists. So there will be, an actor there portraying a character who, he's a security guard at the Hard Rock Museum, and he is, FaceTiming his girlfriend and kind of showing her different items in the museum, and he will come across an item from each one of the acts that's there that day. So for Justin Timberlake, I'm not sure what they have, maybe one of his tuxedos or something from NSYNC, and then, the lights will go out and, the music will start, and then Justin Timberlake will be there to take the stage. So it's just basically like the acts are coming alive at this museum. It'll be every Sunday starting next month. And, some good talent is locked into that. So I'm looking forward to actually getting Orlando into the tribute month, because even though we have a convention, we don't have a lot of markets here that are doing it. So it'd be great to have that. I still wish that Legends would come to Orlando, because it's the #1 family entertainment destination in the world, and I think they would do great here.
Yeah, that's a great concept. That's really cool. Making the tribute person come alive, and then all the memorabilia. If you have any video footage or pictures, and you post that up on Facebook, that'd be outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still in the rehearsal process, so we're putting the show together, and we don't have an exact opening date. But the cool thing about that is that Hard Rock owns the venue, and they're producing this show. So, if we get there in our first month, and 50 people show up, they're not gonna just let it go because it's their venue, it's their show. So they're gonna stick with this and build it, and hopefully turn it into a viable property. And then we've already been in talks about taking my Justin Timberlake show to Hard Rock Live and having a night there to get a crowd over at Universal.
You're working all the angles, Scott. I like it.
Man, we have to hustle in this business, brother. You know that.
It's true. People don't just show up at your doorstep going, please do a 20-minute show for $1 million tomorrow. Okay, you talked me into it.
I wish they did, man. I wish they did, but we got to hustle. And sometimes people don't even think about what we do as a viable option. They just don't. They don't know. We're fortunate to have those people that do that. Book us and support us and help us pay our bills. But it'd be nice if the whole world bought into to what we do, because it's definitely a skill and a talent not a lot of people have.
This is true, or that a lot of people would even want to get up on stage and get up in front of people and put their neck on the chopping block and risk failure, risk anything. It's not for everybody, but for people that do it and love it, it's something that's just in our blood, and it's hard to even think not doing it.
Of course, and it's tough because trying to emulate someone else is tough, because you're getting judged the moment you step out on stage, and those people know what the real thing is, and you have to adhere to those standards and be up to those standards. And Michael Bublé is one of the most talented men in the world, and has an amazing voice, and you have to go out there and kill it every single night, or you get judged, and you kill it. So it's the same with anyone. We're in a tough position, and it takes a lot of balls or guts, I should say, to go out there and try and be someone else and make it work. So I've always had mad respect for everyone that sticks with it.
Me too. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Let's find out a little bit more about Scott Jordan. Let's go back in time. Tell everyone out there in Tribute Land, if you would, where to start? What age did it start? When did you know that music and entertainment was your thing?
It was very early for me. I would even date back to, I guess, probably the when I was 5, preschool area. I did my first show, and somehow this memory has just stuck with me. But it was called A Day at the Circus, and I played an elephant tamer, and I wanted badly to be the lion tamer because I thought the lion tamer was the star of the show. I didn't get to be the lion tamer, so I had to make the elephant tamer as funny as I could, and I just loved the applause, and I went with it. And every opportunity I had to get in front of a crowd, I just kept doing it.
Okay, so it started young, and then what were your early influences as far as like in junior high school and high school? What were you into as far as those times and that music?
Yeah, I was more of a theater person. I didn't know I could sing until I got in high school. I did chorus in elementary school because you had to, but I hit puberty, and I think my voice sounded absolutely terrible. So I was a big music fan. I guess in elementary school, I loved Michael Jackson. Everybody did, I liked more 50s and 60s music because I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So they would listen to Elvis and Ricky Nelson and Merle Haggard and the Temptations and Diana Ross. I grew up on Motown and doo-wop. And, when I started branching out listening to my own music, I loved 80s hair metal bands, Whitesnake, Poison, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi. And then that grew into Nirvana and Belle Biv DeVoe and Naughty by Nature and Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and then New Kids on the Block. So I just love music, man. And whatever I could get my hands on, I wanted. I had a Walkman, and I was always listening to music in my room. So But again, I didn't start singing until I was 14. I was always an actor. Every time I did a talent show, I lip sync and try to be funny. And then when I got into high school, I auditioned for the school musical, and I got the lead, and it just kind of kept escalating from there.
Very cool. So, how did you get your start with Legends? What venue was it, and what I guess how did it take place? So people who have never, heard anything about a tribute artist and what they do to go from A to Z. What did you do to go from A to Z to go on to a stage, in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, to where now 500 to 1,000 people are watching you at some of the best production behind your back. The band is great, the lights are great, the dancers are great, and now you're on stage. How'd you get there?
Yeah. I was very fortunate to, I was in the show Chippendales at the Rio. I was their singer. I was with Chippendales for a very long time. I started with them in 2002. I finished up with them in 2013. So, a long time show meant the world to me, and I got to see the world on their dime, and it was awesome. So I was in Vegas doing their show, and Justin Timberlake had just sort of come out with his first solo album. And Like I Love You was a very popular song. It was his first single. So we went on tour to Europe. And as big as it was in the U.S., it was 10 times bigger over there. And I got a chance to see him live at the European MTV Music Awards. And he did that song. And I saw how the crowd was. So I said, you know what, let's put this song in Chippendales. Try to sing it. And it started basically with, I think, an Orlando Magic basketball jersey and a fedora, and turned into Legends in Concert because I brought it to Vegas when I did the Vegas show with Chippendales. And I knew some people at Legends. They had just hired, I think, Katie Murdoch as Britney Spears, so they were looking for a Justin. And someone recommended me. I went in and auditioned, and the rest is history. But it did take me a little while. I went and auditioned and probably didn't get a show with them for maybe 6 months because I just had surgery. I lost my voice for about a year and a half. So I just had surgery to fix it and had to wait to be cleared, and then I started in Myrtle Beach. That was my first. Atlantic City. Atlantic City was my first Legend show.
Gotcha. Well, that must have been scary was it vocal surgery?
I had really bad acid reflux disease, man. It was something called GERD that had fried my vocal cords. So it hurt to sing, and my throat bled a lot when I sang. So I had surgery to fix my stomach in order to fix my throat, and the recovery period was not too long, but it took me a while to figure out what was wrong with me to get the surgery done. And then there were some complications, so I had to get those worked out and go back to a vocal coach and learn how to basically sing all over again.
Wow. That's impressive. That's a big comeback right there.
I didn't know what else to do, man. I went to college, but I'd been performing for so long, and I just literally went from Chippendales, and I got offered the leading man spot in a show called Splash, which was at the Riviera. So, I went from being a part of Chippendales to like being the main guy in Splash and making a lot of money. And then my voice just started cracking out of nowhere and got diagnosed, and I lost my job there. So I had to fight for a little while to even eat. So there were some rough times, man. And I knew I had to get that back to get back to doing what I loved.
Yeah, let's touch on that, would you? As far as what keeps you going through the ups and downs. And this journey definitely has its shares of extreme highs and some pitfalls, some lows, and it slaps you upside your head sometimes.
Absolutely.
But every once in a while you'll hit those highs. And tell me what keeps you going. How do you endure the whole journey?
Well, I think at this point in my life, my family keeps me going. My wife and my baby keep me, wanting to do as much as I possibly can, wanting to work, wanting to make the gigs happen, wanting to keep it going. Back then, I think it was just, it was all that I had really ever known. I'd done jobs in high school and college, but once I got out to Vegas, it was just strictly performing, and that was it. And when that was taken away from me, I just had a moment where I didn't know what to do anymore. And at that point, once I did get my voice back, I made the decision to, I was performing at night, but I made the decision to start working during the day in entertainment, management positions to try and build up my resume in case that day ever came again. So, when I moved back here and met my wife and she told me she was pregnant, I made the decision to plan for the future. So I got a job in entertainment behind the scenes that gives us great health benefits and, is there. And is very flexible, and the gigs, pay the bills, and that job, gives us benefits. So just my family, man, that's what keeps me going. Whatever I can do to make my wife's life easier, because she just does so much for me and for us, and whatever I can do to help the future of my little girl, that's what keeps me going.
Very cool, Scott. Okay, just a couple more questions, and then we are wrapping up Tribute Land here today.
Sure, buddy.
And thank you, by the way, for coming in. It's been a pleasure. It's cool to reconnect with you. I haven't talked to you either in person or over the phone for a while, and that's one of the benefits of doing this podcast.
Yeah, and it's the downfall, I think, of legends, is that you make friends and you meet really cool people, but then you have to say goodbye to them, and you never know when you see them again. And one story that I want to tell your listeners is a story about how you and I actually met. We had never met, and I showed up to Atlantic City, and you got my number and sent me a text saying, "Hey man, I'm doing this Michael Bublé thing. I would really like to meet you." And you were back in town for a night, and then we met and had drinks. And for all of this man's listeners, he's just a stand-up guy. One of the first things you said to me was you thanked me for paving the way, for acts like you to come into legends, and that stuck with me, and I appreciate it. I know that Katie Murdoch and I were the experiment to see how the younger pop acts kind of fit in, and I appreciate that. So that's a story that I think your listeners should know about you.
Well, very kind. I thank you. I'll go ahead and put the money in the check in the envelope and send it off to you.
It's $5, man. Send it to Scott Jordan.
Thank you. $5. I can handle that. That works.
Cool, man.
So what are you thinking about, Scott, when you're performing, when you're on stage and you're in the middle of it all, you're doing your thing? What's going through your head?
It's an experience for me, man. I think I forget about everything else in the world except for, my family. And I know I've been stressing that, but, having a child and bringing a child into this world and having a woman that supports me and stands by me, it's changed my life for the absolute best. And I just think about them. I mean, every song I sing, I think about my wife, and I think about my little girl, and I mean, I'm having a blast up there, and I still can't believe I get paid to do that. And one thing I will say about being a tribute artist is you kind of get a different experience because you're not singing as yourself, so you don't have to be yourself, and you can be someone else, and it kind of takes you away from, day-to-day life, and you get to put all of your energy and focus into whether it's a 15-minute set or a 90-minute set, just being that person and, throwing everything else out the door.
Yeah, I agree. It's a mental vacation from your day-to-day grind, and you get to enjoy and be in the moment fully on stage. And I've watched Scott Jordan from the audience perspective and from the wings, and I think you put that out to the audience as, hey, come along with me on this journey where we're going to escape your problems for about 15 minutes or an hour or whatever your show is. And that comes out, actually. I got that vibe from Scott in the audience. And so, folks, if you're listening, you've never seen Scott Jordan, especially if you're in the Florida area, I want you to go to his Facebook page. First of all, tell me if I'm right or wrong about your Facebook page. I have it as JT Tribute. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, every social media account I have, you can find me. Facebook is JT. At like a first name, and then Tribute like a last name, and then Twitter and Instagram is all at JT Tribute, one word.
Very cool. Well, I tell you what, I have experienced your energy, just you talking to me today. You've given me inspiration. You have massive amounts of motivation and drive, and I can still hear the enthusiasm in your voice and the coverage that you're putting out there with 3 different tributes. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on your family. Scott, it's really good to reconnect with you again, and thank you for coming into the podcast today.
You too, man. And I've got a lot of things to look forward to, some new projects, and I'm really looking forward to getting back with Legends in concert, and hopefully they will put Bublé and Timberlake rightfully where they belong together on stage.
Absolutely. I'm averaging like once or twice a month now in Florida for these one-nighters. I'm doing lots more of corporate stuff. But next time I'm out there, I'm gonna send you a text, and we're gonna have to meet up if we can, because I haven't seen you in a while. So let's do that. What do you think?
It's been a while, man. I am down for that. It's one thing that Orlando and Florida have a lot of is corporate events. So there's definitely a market for tribute artists with that. So let me know next time you're in town, man, and I will, if it's feasible, if it's not feasible, I'll make it feasible and we'll get together.
I'll meet the whole family, reunite, we'll grab a drink, and we'll make this happen.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Scott, man, thanks for coming in. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure.
And as we end every single Tribute Land podcast with an Elvis Presley shout-out, an Elvis sighting, an Elvis spotlight. So today's Elvis Presley spotlight goes to a guy that's been doing it for a while and doing it well, doing it all over the world. Authentic, fantastic stage presence, got the pipes, got everything. His name is Bill Cherry. That's Cherry, Bill Cherry, and you can find him at billcherry.com, where he's got tour dates. He's all over the place. He's got Branson, Missouri. He's got Texas. He's got New Zealand, Australia. He's got, where else? New Orleans, Jacksonville, Tupelo, Missouri. We know what happened in Tupelo. He's back to England, and then Memphis, and then Georgia. That's just a quick snapshot of Bill Cherry's tour. You can also go to his Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bill Cherry Fans, Fans, Bill Cherry Fans. And that's today's Elvis Presley Tribute Artist Spotlight. All right, folks, that was a cool one. Scotty Jordan coming strong. And coming up next, we've got Chris Van Dahl, who does Steven Tyler for Aerosmith. It's another podcast in the tank. Thanks for listening. Hope to see everyone out there.
A pretty mama, won't you sing the last dance for me? I'll make a promise that you'll sing the last dance for me. Say the last dance, or the very last dance.